Jake Morrison ran through the green fields of New Haven Colony, chasing his little sister Amy around the tall grass. The 8-year-old boy laughed as she giggled and hid behind the big rocks that dotted the landscape. Their parents, Peter and Linda Morrison, worked nearby fixing the water pumps that helped grow crops on this distant world. New Haven was a small human settlement far from Earth. Only 300 families lived here, farming and building a new life among the stars. They had been here for 5 years, slowly turning the empty planet into a home. The colonists built simple houses, grew food, and raised their children in peace. Captain Alex Carter stood in the colony's communications center, reading reports on his computer screen. The messages from Earth worried him. The Galactic Empire was asking questions about human colonies. They wanted to know why humans were spreading to so many new worlds so quickly. The Empire ruled most of the galaxy. They had been in power for thousands of years, controlling hundreds of alien species. Most of these aliens had given up fighting long ago. They followed Empire rules and lived quiet lives under alien masters. But humans were different. They built new colonies fast. They made new inventions. They asked questions that made the Empire nervous. Some Empire leaders thought humans might become a problem one day. Admiral Helen Brooks sat in her office on Earth, looking at reports about Empire ship movements. More and more Empire vessels were moving toward human space. She tried to send peaceful messages to the Empire capital, but they rarely answered back. Dr. Kevin Walsh worked at the Empire Academy studying alien biology. He was one of the few humans allowed to study there. What he saw worried him. Empire students and teachers talked about humans like they were dangerous animals that needed to be controlled. On the Empire capital world of Centralis, Admiral Zektar received his orders. The tall, blue-skinned alien read the message twice to make sure he understood. His superiors wanted him to teach the humans a lesson. They wanted to show these newcomers what happened when someone challenged the Empire. Zektar looked at the list of human colonies. New Haven was small and far from help, perfect for what they planned to do. He called his fleet commanders and told them to prepare for departure. Back on New Haven, Jake Morrison finished his game with Amy and ran home for lunch. His mother Linda made him wash his hands while his father Peter came in from the fields, covered in dirt and sweat. "How are the pumps working, Dad?" Jake asked. "Good, son. We should have enough water for the whole season," Peter replied, ruffling Jake's hair. The family ate together, talking about their plans for the weekend. They wanted to explore the caves in the northern hills. Jake loved adventures, and Amy always followed her big brother everywhere. Captain Carter finished reading the latest intelligence reports. Something felt wrong. Empire ships were moving in patterns that suggested they were planning something. He sent urgent messages to Earth, asking for more information. 3 days later, Carter's worst fears came true. His sensors detected ships dropping out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. The signatures matched Empire warships, and there were many of them. Carter hit the colony alarm. The loud siren echoed across New Haven, telling everyone to run to the emergency shelters. He grabbed his radio and called all available defenders. New Haven had only 12 security officers and 20 volunteer militia members. The Morrison family heard the alarm while eating dinner. Peter grabbed Amy while Linda took Jake's hand. They ran toward the nearest shelter, along with dozens of other families. Above them, Empire ships entered the atmosphere. The warships were huge, casting dark shadows over the colony as they descended. Red energy beams shot down from the ships, hitting the power station and communication arrays. Jake looked up as explosions lit the sky. He had never seen anything so frightening. The ships looked like metal monsters with glowing eyes, breathing fire down on his home. Carter tried to contact Earth, but the Empire had destroyed all long-range communications. His small security force took positions around the main shelter, knowing they could not stop the Empire but hoping to buy time for civilians to hide. Empire soldiers landed in flying vehicles that looked like metal insects. They wore dark armor and carried weapons that fired blue energy bolts. The first wave headed straight for the colony center. The Morrison family reached the school building, which served as an emergency shelter. 50 other families crowded inside the large room, parents holding children close as explosions shook the walls. Carter and his men fought bravely, but stood no chance against Empire technology. Their simple rifles could not penetrate alien armor. One by one, the human defenders fell as Empire forces advanced through the colony. The aliens moved through New Haven like they owned it. They destroyed anything that looked important and captured humans who tried to run. Their orders were clear. Make an example that other human colonies would remember. In the school shelter, Jake heard the sounds of battle getting closer. His father held him tight, whispering that everything would be okay. But Jake could see the fear in his parents' eyes. The school doors exploded inward. Empire soldiers in black armor stepped through the smoke. Their weapons pointed at the terrified families. They spoke in harsh, alien voices, ordering everyone to come outside. Jake held Amy's hand as their family was forced to join other colonists in the town square. Empire soldiers stood guard while their commander, a tall alien with 4 arms, spoke into a recording device. "This colony violated Empire law by expanding into restricted space," the alien announced. "The penalty is destruction. Let this be a warning to all humans." What happened next would change everything. As families stood terrified in the square, Jake noticed Amy had dropped her toy bear. Without thinking, the brave 8-year-old boy broke free from his parents and ran to pick it up. Empire guards raised their weapons. Captain Carter shouted for them to stop, but Admiral Zektar's orders had been specific. Make it brutal. Make it memorable. The energy bolt hit Jake Morrison as he bent to pick up his sister's toy. The 8-year-old boy collapsed in the dirt. His life ended in an instant for the crime of being human in the wrong place at the wrong time. Amy screamed. Linda Morrison cried out in horror. Peter tried to run to his son, but Empire soldiers held him back. The alien commander nodded with satisfaction. The execution was recorded and would be broadcast across Empire space as a warning. This is what happens to humans who forget their place. But as Jake Morrison died in the dust of New Haven, something else was born. In the hearts of every human who would see the recording, a fire began to burn. The Empire had just made the worst mistake in their long history. They had shown humanity what they truly were, and humanity would never forget. The news reached Earth 3 days after Jake Morrison died. Captain Alex Carter had managed to hide a small transmitter before the Empire destroyed New Haven's communications. His final message was short but clear. Empire forces killed civilians, children murdered, colony destroyed. This is war. President William Hayes watched the recovered footage in his office. The recording showed everything: an 8-year-old boy picking up a toy, Empire soldiers shooting him down like an animal, the child's sister screaming, parents crying over their dead son. Hayes closed his eyes and felt something change inside him, something cold and hard that had never been there before. When he opened his eyes again, his aides saw a different man than the one who had entered the room. "Get me the Joint Chiefs," Hayes said quietly. "Get me Congress. Get me every colony governor and fleet commander. We meet in 1 hour." Colonel Alex Carter sat in a rescue ship heading back to Earth. The Empire had left New Haven after their demonstration. They took some prisoners and destroyed most of the buildings, but let the survivors live. Carter supposed they wanted witnesses to spread fear. Instead, Carter felt only anger. Pure, burning anger that grew stronger with each passing hour. He thought about Jake Morrison running to get his sister's toy. He thought about the Empire soldier who pulled the trigger. He made a promise to himself that the man would pay. Dr. Emma Foster received the emergency call while working in her laboratory on Luna. The government wanted new weapons, and they wanted them fast. Foster was Earth's best military scientist, but she had spent the last 10 years designing peaceful technologies. Not anymore. Foster looked at her research team and saw the same anger in their eyes that burned in her own heart. "Drop everything else," she told them. "We're going to build weapons that will make the Empire sorry they ever heard of humans." Admiral Helen Brooks called every ship captain in the human fleet. Most of human space forces were exploration vessels and colony transports. They had some military ships, but nothing designed for real war. That was about to change. "I don't care if you're commanding a cargo hauler or a research vessel," Brooks told her captains. "Everything gets weapons, everything gets armor, everything becomes a warship. We're going to need every ship we can get." General Richard Stone took charge of mobilizing Earth's military forces. Stone was an old soldier who had fought in the colonial wars 20 years earlier. He understood warfare better than anyone in the government. He also understood that this war would be different from anything humans had ever fought. "The Empire has been fighting for thousands of years," Stone told his staff. "They have better technology and more ships, but they've never fought humans. They don't know what we're capable of when we get angry." Commander Lisa Parker received orders to take her reconnaissance squadron deep into Empire space. Her ships were fast and hard to detect, perfect for gathering intelligence. But Parker had bigger plans than just watching the enemy. "Sir, request permission to conduct active operations," Parker told Admiral Brooks over the communications link. "I want to hurt them." "Permission granted," Brooks replied. "Hurt them bad." President Hayes addressed the United Earth government and every human colony in a broadcast that reached across known space. His words were calm but carried the weight of absolute determination. "The Galactic Empire has declared war on humanity by murdering our children," Hayes said. "They think this act of brutality will make us bow down and accept their rule. They are wrong. They have awakened something in humanity that should have remained sleeping. We will not rest until every person responsible for Jake Morrison's death faces justice." On Mars, weapons factories that had been closed for decades reopened overnight. Workers volunteered for triple shifts, building missiles and energy weapons as fast as the assembly lines could move. The planet's shipyards, previously used for civilian vessels, began construction on warships designed with one purpose: killing Empire forces. The asteroid belt mining stations stopped digging for rare metals and started building ammunition. Miners who had never seen combat trained with rifles during their off hours. They volunteered for military service by the thousands, eager to fight the aliens who killed children. Dr. Kevin Walsh sat in his dormitory at the Empire Academy, carefully composing messages to Earth. He had to be careful because Empire security monitored all communications. But Walsh found ways to pass along crucial information about Empire fleet movements and defensive positions. The Empire students around him celebrated the New Haven attack. They laughed about human weakness and joked about the dead child. Walsh memorized every face and every name. After the war, they would all face consequences for their words. Colonel Carter arrived on Earth to find a world transformed. Peaceful cities buzzed with military activity. Children too young for military service collected scrap metal for weapons production. Old veterans came out of retirement to train new recruits. Everyone wanted to do something to help the war effort. Carter was promoted to general and given command of the new Colonial Defense Force. His mission was simple: protect human worlds and take the fight to the Empire. He accepted the promotion with one condition: when they found the alien who killed Jake Morrison, Carter would be the one to kill him. Dr. Foster's team worked around the clock developing new technologies. They created energy shields that could stop Empire weapons. They built missiles that could track enemy ships through hyperspace. They designed armor that let human soldiers fight Empire troops on equal terms. But Foster's greatest creation was a new type of weapon called a quantum disruptor. The device could tear apart alien ship hulls at the molecular level. When she tested the first prototype on a captured Empire fighter, the enemy vessel simply disintegrated. "Now we have something they don't," Foster told her team. Surprise! Admiral Brooks received reports that civilian shipping companies were volunteering their vessels for military conversion. Cargo haulers became troop transports. Passenger liners were converted into hospital ships. Even small private ships were equipped with weapons and sensors to serve as scouts. Within weeks, the human fleet had grown from 50 military vessels to over 300 armed ships. They were not all warships, but they were all ready to fight. The first human counterattack came sooner than anyone expected. Commander Parker's reconnaissance squadron found an Empire outpost on the edge of human space. The base had 12 ships and a small garrison, probably meant to watch for human activity. Parker attacked without warning. Her ships dropped out of hyperspace and fired every weapon they had. The Empire base never had a chance to send a distress call. When the battle ended, the outpost was space debris and all Empire personnel were dead. Parker sent one message back to command. "First payment on the debt, more to follow." The Empire response was swift and predictable. Admiral Zektar, who had ordered Jake Morrison's execution, dispatched a fleet to punish the humans for their attack. He expected to find terrified colonists hiding behind their primitive defenses. Instead, he found Admiral John Mitchell waiting with 40 human warships, all armed with Dr. Foster's new weapons. The Battle of Kepler Station lasted 3 hours and ended with half the Empire fleet destroyed or captured. Zektar himself barely escaped in a damaged command ship. For the first time in their history, the Empire had lost a major fleet action to a younger species. The news spread across the galaxy, carried by alien merchants and travelers who couldn't believe what they had heard. President Hayes received the victory report and smiled for the first time since Jake Morrison died. The smile was not pleasant. It was the smile of a man who had tasted enemy blood and found it good. "Send a message to Admiral Zektar," Hayes told his communications officer. "Tell him we have something that belongs to him. Tell him we have his dignity, and if he wants it back, he can come and take it." General Stone looked at the strategic map showing human and Empire positions. Red markers showed enemy forces, blue showed human fleets. For the first time since the war began, there were more blue markers than red ones in several sectors. "They started this war by killing a child," Stone told his staff. "We're going to finish it by making them pay for every drop of innocent blood they've spilled. And when we're done, they'll never threaten human children again." Across human space, colonies that had lived in fear for months began to hope. The Empire could be beaten. The aliens who seemed so powerful were not invincible. Humanity had found its strength, and that strength was growing every day. Jake Morrison was dead, but his death had awakened something terrible and beautiful in the human spirit. The Empire had wanted to teach humans about fear. Instead, they had taught them about fury. And human fury, once awakened, was a force that could reshape the galaxy. 6 months after Jake Morrison's death, the war had grown beyond anything the Empire expected. Human forces struck everywhere at once, using tactics no alien military had ever seen. Where the Empire expected direct battle, humans used stealth and deception. Where aliens planned defensive strategies, humans attacked from unexpected directions. Commander Lisa Parker's stealth squadron had grown from 5 scout ships to 50 armed destroyers. They moved through Empire space like ghosts, striking supply convoys and communication stations before vanishing into hyperspace. Empire forces never knew where the next attack would come from. Parker stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UEF Shadow, watching as her ships prepared to attack an Empire fuel depot. The base supplied energy to 12 Imperial fleets, and destroying it would cripple enemy operations in this sector. "All ships report ready," her weapons officer announced. "Begin the attack," Parker ordered. "No survivors, no mercy." The human ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation. Dr. Foster's quantum disruptors tore through Empire shields like they were made of paper. The fuel depot exploded in a massive fireball that could be seen from 3 star systems away. Admiral Zektar stood in his command center, staring at reports of another human victory. His forces had lost 17 major battles in the past month. Every time he thought he understood human tactics, they did something completely different. "How many ships do they have?" Zektar demanded from his intelligence officer. "Unknown, sir. They appear to be building new vessels faster than we can destroy them. Also, they're using civilian ships as warships. Our estimates may be completely wrong." Zektar crushed the data pad in his 4-handed grip. These humans fought like animals, using every resource they could find. They had no honor, no proper military structure. They just threw everything they had at Empire forces and somehow kept winning. General Richard Stone coordinated human military operations from his headquarters on Luna. Multiple screens showed the positions of hundreds of human ships across the galaxy. Stone had fought many wars, but none like this one. "Sir, we're receiving surrender offers from 17 Empire worlds," his aide reported. "They want to join our side." Stone nodded. This was exactly what he had hoped for. The Empire controlled many alien species who hated their masters. As human victories mounted, these oppressed peoples began to see hope for freedom. "Accept their surrenders," Stone ordered, "but check them carefully. This could be a trap." Dr. Kevin Walsh had become invaluable to human intelligence operations. Still disguised as a student at the Empire Academy, he provided detailed information about enemy plans and weaknesses. His latest report made Stone smile. "The Empire is pulling ships from the outer territories to protect their core worlds," Walsh's message read. "They're abandoning dozens of systems to concentrate their forces. This gives us opportunities to liberate alien species and gain new allies." Colonel Alex Carter, now commanding the 3rd Human Marine Division, read the intelligence report with satisfaction. His forces were preparing to assault an Empire prison world where human captives were being held, but the mission had grown larger than just a rescue operation. "We're not just saving our people," Carter told his Marine commanders. "We're showing the galaxy that the Empire can't protect their own installations. Every alien watching will see that resistance is possible." The attack on prison world Omega-7 became a masterpiece of human military tactics. Carter's Marines used stolen Empire transport ships to approach the planet. Meanwhile, Parker's stealth destroyers destroyed the orbital defenses. By the time Empire forces realized they were under attack, human soldiers were already inside the prison walls. Carter personally led the assault on the main detention center. Empire guards fought desperately, but human weapons and armor had improved dramatically since the war began. What took Empire soldiers hours to accomplish, humans finished in minutes. "All human prisoners secured," Carter reported over his radio, "also freeing approximately 800 alien political prisoners. They want to join our cause." The rescue mission succeeded beyond all expectations. Not only did humans save their captured people, but they gained hundreds of alien allies who had valuable information about Empire weaknesses. Dr. Emma Foster watched test footage of her latest creation. Powered armor that made human soldiers stronger and faster than any Empire trooper. The suits included energy shields, advanced sensors, and weapons that could penetrate any known alien defense. "With this equipment, 1 human Marine equals 5 Empire soldiers," Foster told General Stone. "We can take on their best units and win." Foster's team had also developed new starship designs based on captured Empire technology. Human engineers improved on alien designs, creating vessels that combined the best of both civilizations. The new ships were faster, tougher, and more heavily armed than anything in the Empire fleet. Admiral Helen Brooks commanded the largest human battle fleet ever assembled. Over 200 warships preparing to attack Kepler Station, the Empire's most important military base in this region of the galaxy. The station controlled hyperspace routes to 12 systems and housed over 50 Empire warships. "This is our biggest challenge yet," Brooks told her ship captains during the final briefing. "But if we take Kepler Station, we cut the Empire's main supply line to their core worlds. They'll have to choose between defending their capital or their outer territories." The Battle of Kepler Station lasted 3 days and became the turning point of the war. Empire forces fought with desperate courage, knowing that losing the base would cripple their war effort. But human tactics proved superior once again. While Empire ships tried to defend the station in traditional formation, human vessels attacked from multiple directions simultaneously. Some ships targeted the station's weapons, while others engaged the enemy fleet. A third group, led by Commander Parker, used stealth technology to infiltrate the station's hangar bays. Captain Steve Rogers led the Marine assault inside Kepler Station. His soldiers moved through the alien corridors like deadly spirits, clearing resistance with ruthless efficiency. Empire defenders had never faced troops who combined advanced technology with pure determination. "Station Command Center secured," Rogers reported to Admiral Brooks. Empire resistance collapsing throughout the facility. The victory at Kepler Station sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For the first time in over 1,000 years, the Empire had lost a major strategic position to an enemy force. Alien species across Imperial space began to whisper about the humans who could not be defeated. President Hayes received reports that 12 more star systems had declared independence from the Empire. Human diplomats were working with alien leaders to form alliances and coordinate resistance movements. The war was spreading beyond just humans versus the Empire. Admiral Zektar stood in the ruins of his career, reading casualty reports from Kepler Station. Half his fleet was destroyed or captured. The station itself was now a human base, cutting off supplies to dozens of Empire worlds. "Sir, the High Council is demanding your presence on Centralis," his aide informed him nervously. Zektar knew what that meant. The Empire leadership was looking for someone to blame for their failures. The alien who had started this war by killing a human child would now face consequences for his actions. Dr. Walsh sent his most important intelligence yet. The Empire was recalling all military forces to defend their core worlds. They were abandoning the outer territories completely, hoping to make a final stand around their capital system. "This is our chance," General Stone told President Hayes. "If we move fast, we can liberate half the galaxy before they can reorganize their defenses." Human fleets spread out across Imperial space, liberating world after world. Most surrendered without a fight, their alien populations welcoming human soldiers as liberators rather than conquerors. The empire that had ruled for millennia was collapsing faster than anyone had imagined possible. Commander Parker stood on the bridge of her flagship, now flagship of the 7th Stealth Fleet. Her forces had grown from a handful of scout ships to over 100 vessels. They had become the terror of Empire supply lines, appearing without warning to destroy convoys and military installations. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Zektar," her communications officer reported. "He wants to negotiate surrender terms." Parker smiled coldly. "Tell the Admiral that surrender is not an option. He killed Jake Morrison. Now he faces the consequences." Colonel Carter received new orders from Earth. Advance on the Empire capital system. His Marines would spearhead the final assault that would end this war once and for all. Carter thought about the 8-year-old boy who had died picking up his sister's toy and felt satisfied that justice was finally coming. The Empire had wanted to teach humanity about fear and submission. Instead, they had created their own destruction. Human fury, once awakened, had proven unstoppable. As human fleets gathered for the final push toward Centralis, Jake Morrison's death had been avenged 1,000 times over. But the war was not over yet. The Empire still had fight left in them, and humans would not stop until every trace of Imperial tyranny was wiped from the galaxy. The child's sacrifice had lit a fire that would burn until freedom shone on every world. 1 year after the war began, the Galactic Empire faced complete collapse. Human forces controlled over half of Imperial territory, and more alien worlds declared independence every day. The 1,000-year reign of terror was ending, and everyone in the galaxy could feel the change coming. Admiral Helen Brooks stood on the bridge of the UEF Retribution, flagship of the combined human fleet. 200 warships surrounded her vessel, the largest military force humanity had ever assembled. Their target was Centralis itself, the Empire capital world. "All ships report ready for hyperspace jump," her fleet commander announced. Brooks looked at the tactical display showing Empire positions around their capital. They had pulled every available ship to defend Centralis, leaving the outer territories virtually undefended. It was exactly what General Stone had predicted they would do. "Begin the final advance," Brooks ordered. "Today, we finish what they started when they murdered Jake Morrison." Dr. Emma Foster made final adjustments to her most devastating creation, the Imperial Disruptor. The weapon could shut down all Empire technology within a star system, from starship engines to planetary defense grids. One shot would leave the enemy completely helpless. "Are you certain this will work?" President Hayes asked during the final briefing. "Yes, sir," Foster replied confidently. "Empire technology relies on quantum resonance frequencies we've learned to disrupt. Once we activate the device, their ships become floating scrap metal." General Richard Stone coordinated simultaneous attacks across the galaxy. While the main fleet advanced on Centralis, human forces struck at the remaining Empire strongholds. The goal was to prevent any Imperial forces from escaping to regroup later. "Sir, we're receiving surrender messages from 37 Empire systems," his aide reported. "They want to negotiate terms." "No negotiations," Stone replied coldly. "Unconditional surrender only. They had their chance for mercy when they killed that child on New Haven." Commander Lisa Parker led her stealth fleet toward the secret Imperial facility where Admiral Zektar was hiding. Intelligence reports from Dr. Walsh indicated the alien commander was planning something desperate. Parker intended to stop him before he could act. Her ships moved through space like invisible death, using advanced cloaking technology developed from captured Empire designs. Human engineers had improved the alien systems, making them virtually undetectable even by Imperial sensors. "Target facility detected," her sensor officer reported. "Heavy defenses, but nothing our weapons can't handle." Parker studied the tactical readout. Zektar had chosen his hiding place well, a fortress moon orbiting a dead planet. But the alien had made one mistake. He assumed human forces would attack conventionally. "All ships, prepare for stealth insertion," Parker commanded. "We're going in quiet and hitting them where they don't expect it." Dr. Kevin Walsh received the coded message he had been waiting for. Execute final phase. His mission at the Empire Academy was nearly complete. For over a year, he had gathered intelligence and prepared for this moment. Walsh looked around his dormitory room at the Empire students who had celebrated Jake Morrison's death. They were about to learn what happened to those who hurt human children. "Emergency alert," Walsh announced over the Academy communication system, using his access as a research assistant. "All human students report to the main auditorium immediately for evacuation." But Walsh had lied about his identity. There were no other human students at the Academy. The message was really a signal to the human strike team that had infiltrated the facility weeks earlier, disguised as maintenance workers. Colonel Alex Carter led the assault on the Empire's main military academy on Centralis. His Marines moved through the facility with deadly efficiency, using intelligence provided by Dr. Walsh to target key positions. "All Empire military records secured," Carter reported over his radio. "We now have complete information on their fleet positions, defensive plans, and command structure." But Carter's real objective was personal. Intelligence indicated that several officers involved in the New Haven attack were stationed at the academy. Carter intended to find every one of them. Captain Steve Rogers and his Special Forces team penetrated the Empire's Planetary Defense Control Center. Their mission was to disable the shields protecting Centralis from orbital bombardment. Without those defenses, the capital world would be helpless. "Charges placed on main power generators," Rogers reported. "Detonation in 30 seconds. The explosions that followed plunged half of Centralis into darkness. Empire defense grids flickered and died as power systems overloaded. For the first time in Imperial history, their capital world lay defenseless before an enemy fleet. Admiral Zektar received the reports of disaster with growing desperation. Human forces had penetrated every level of Imperial security. Their capital defenses were failing, and enemy fleets were approaching the system. "Sir, the High Council is demanding immediate evacuation to the emergency bunkers," his aide informed him. Zektar looked at his reflection in the command center window. The alien who had ordered a child's execution to demonstrate Imperial power now faced the consequences of that action. The humans had kept their promise of vengeance. "Prepare the Doomsday Protocol," Zektar ordered quietly. His aide stared in shock. The Doomsday Protocol would destroy Centralis itself rather than let it fall to enemy forces. Billions of alien civilians would die, including the Empire leadership. "Sir, that order requires authorization from the High Council." "The High Council is dead or captured," Zektar replied coldly. "I am assuming emergency command authority." Commander Parker's stealth ships surrounded the Fortress Moon where Zektar was hiding. Her sensors detected massive energy buildups inside the facility, suggesting the aliens were preparing some kind of superweapon. "All ships, attack immediately," Parker ordered. "Don't give them time to activate whatever they're planning." Quantum disruptors and plasma cannons tore through the Moon's defenses like paper. Empire soldiers fought desperately, but they were overwhelmed by superior human technology and tactics. Within hours, Parker's forces had penetrated the main complex. "Target acquired," Parker announced over her communicator. "Admiral Zektar is in custody." The alien commander was dragged before Parker in chains, his forearms bound behind his back. The proud Imperial officer who had ordered Jake Morrison's death now looked broken and defeated. "You killed a child," Parker said quietly. "Did you think there would be no consequences?" Admiral Brooks watched from her flagship as human forces completed their encirclement of Centralis. Empire ships tried to break through the blockade, but were destroyed or captured one by one. The capital world that had ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years was now completely isolated. "Ma'am, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the planet's surface," her sensor officer reported. "It looks like they're trying to activate some kind of planetary destruction device." Brooks smiled grimly. Intelligence had warned that the Empire might try to destroy their own capital rather than surrender it. Dr. Foster had prepared for exactly this possibility. "Deploy the Imperial Disruptor," Brooks commanded. The weapon fired invisible energy waves that penetrated every Empire device on Centralis. Starships fell from the sky as their engines died. Planetary defense systems shut down completely. Even simple communicators stopped working as the quantum disruption field spread across the entire system. President Hayes watched the final assault from his Situation Room on Earth. Live footage showed human Marines landing on Centralis itself, meeting only scattered resistance from Empire forces whose weapons no longer functioned. "Sir, we're receiving surrender messages from every remaining Empire world," his military aide reported. "The war is over." Hayes thought about Jake Morrison, the 8-year-old boy whose death had started this conflict. The child's murder had awakened something in humanity that the Empire never could have imagined. Now their ancient civilization lay in ruins, destroyed by the species they had tried to intimidate. General Stone received the final casualty reports. Human losses had been surprisingly light, thanks to superior technology and tactics, but the Empire had lost over 60% of their military forces and political leadership. "What about the alien civilians?" Stone asked his intelligence chief. "Most are celebrating," came the reply. "They see us as liberators, not conquerors. Apparently, the Empire was not very popular with its own people." Dr. Walsh walked through the captured Empire Academy, documenting evidence of war crimes and imperial brutality. His year-long infiltration had provided crucial intelligence that helped end the war quickly and decisively. In one classroom, Walsh found recordings of Empire students laughing about Jake Morrison's death. He marked the files for war crimes prosecutors. Justice would be served for every act of cruelty. Colonel Carter stood in the ruins of the Imperial Command Center on Centralis, accepting the surrender of the last Empire military units. The alien officers who signed the surrender documents looked broken and defeated. "The Galactic Empire formally surrenders all military forces and territorial claims," the senior alien officer stated. "We accept full responsibility for war crimes committed against human civilians." Carter thought about Jake Morrison's parents, Peter and Linda, who would finally see justice for their son's murder. The boy's death had not been meaningless. It had freed an entire galaxy from tyranny. Commander Parker brought Admiral Zektar to trial on New Haven itself, in the same town square where Jake Morrison had died. Thousands of humans and aliens attended the proceedings, all wanting to see justice done. The evidence was overwhelming. Video recordings showed Zektar giving the order to execute the child. Testimony from his own officers confirmed that the killing was deliberate and unnecessary. "Admiral Zektar, you are found guilty of war crimes against humanity," the judge announced. "The sentence is death." As the alien who killed Jake Morrison faced his own execution, the galaxy watched and learned. Humanity had proven that innocence would be protected and evil would be punished, no matter how powerful the guilty might be. The empire that had ruled for 1,000 years was no more. In its place, a new order began to emerge, one based on freedom and justice rather than fear and oppression. Jake Morrison's short life had ended in tragedy, but his death had given birth to hope for billions of beings across the stars. 2 years after Jake Morrison's death sparked the greatest war in galactic history, the final battle was about to begin. The Galactic Empire had fallen, but scattered Imperial forces still held 3 fortress worlds in the galaxy's core. These last bastions of alien tyranny prepared for a final desperate stand. President William Hayes stood before the United Earth Assembly, older and marked by the weight of war, but still determined to finish what the Empire had started. Behind him, a holographic display showed the positions of the largest human fleet ever assembled, over 400 warships from Earth and her colony worlds. 2 years ago, they murdered a child to show us our place in their empire, Hayes told the assembled delegates. Today, we will show them the price of that crime. Today, we end their reign of terror forever. Admiral Helen Brooks commanded the combined human fleet from the bridge of the UEF Retribution. The massive ship bristled with weapons designed by Dr. Emma Foster's research teams. Around her, hundreds of other vessels waited for the order to advance on Centralis, the Empire's capital world. "All ships report ready for final assault," her fleet commander announced. Brooks looked at the tactical display showing the last Empire strongholds. They had pulled every remaining ship to defend their core worlds, creating a final line of defense around their ancient capital. It would be the hardest battle of the war, but also the last. "Signal all ships," Brooks ordered. "Today we finish this war. Today we bring justice for Jake Morrison and every innocent life the Empire has taken." Dr. Emma Foster made final preparations for her ultimate weapon, the quantum storm generator. The device could disrupt space itself, creating energy storms that would tear apart any Empire ship caught within its range. It was powerful enough to end the war in a single devastating attack. "Are you certain about the targeting coordinates?" Foster asked her technical team. "Yes, ma'am. The weapon will destroy all Empire military targets while leaving civilian areas untouched. No innocent lives will be lost." Foster nodded with satisfaction. Humanity fought this war for justice, not revenge. They would destroy their enemies completely, but they would not become the monsters they fought against. General Richard Stone coordinated the final assault from his command center on Luna. Hundreds of screens showed human forces advancing on multiple fronts simultaneously. The Empire's remaining territories were surrounded and cut off from reinforcement. "Sir, we're receiving final surrender offers from the outer fortress worlds," his aide reported. "Same answer as always," Stone replied. "Unconditional surrender only. They chose this war when they killed a human child." Now they face the consequences. Colonel Alex Carter led the assault on Fortress World Alpha 3, the Empire's main military training center. His Marines had grown from a colonial security force into the most feared ground troops in the galaxy. They moved through the alien defensive positions like death itself. "All outer defenses breached," Carter reported over his radio. "Empire resistance crumbling on all fronts." But Carter's real mission was personal. Intelligence indicated that several officers from the New Haven attack were stationed on Alpha 3. He intended to find every one of them before the battle ended. Commander Lisa Parker commanded the stealth fleet that had terrorized Empire supply lines for 2 years. Her ship surrounded Fortress World Beta 7, using advanced cloaking technology to remain invisible until the moment of attack. "All ships begin final assault," Parker ordered. "Show them what happens to those who hurt human children." Her quantum disruptors tore through Empire shields like they were made of paper. The alien defenders had never faced weapons that could destroy matter at the molecular level. Within hours, the Fortress World's defenses were completely destroyed. Captain Steve Rogers led his Special Forces team in the assault on the Empire's command bunkers beneath Centralis. Their mission was to capture the surviving Imperial leadership alive for war crimes trials. Rogers had volunteered for the most dangerous assignment of the war. "Enemy bunker located," Rogers reported as his team moved through underground tunnels. "Heavy resistance, but nothing we can't handle." The Empire soldiers fought desperately in the dark corridors beneath their capital, but human technology and training proved superior once again. Rogers and his team captured the bunker complex in less than 6 hours. Dr. Kevin Walsh emerged from his hiding place in the ruins of the Empire Academy. For 2 years, he had provided crucial intelligence while maintaining his cover as a research student. Now his mission was finally complete. Walsh looked at the burning alien city around him and felt satisfied. The Empire that had celebrated Jake Morrison's death was now paying the ultimate price for their cruelty. Admiral Zektar sat in his prison cell aboard the UEF Justice, awaiting his war crimes trial. The alien commander who had ordered a child's execution now faced judgment for his actions. Through his cell window, he could see the final battle raging around Centralis. "Your empire is finished," the human guard told him. "Your 1,000-year reign is over." Zektar said nothing, but his 4 eyes showed the defeat and despair of a broken civilization. The species that had ruled the galaxy through fear and brutality was learning what it meant to face an enemy that could not be intimidated. President Hayes received reports that the last Empire fleet was attempting to break through the human blockade around Centralis. Admiral Brooks positioned her ships to intercept, using tactics perfected over 2 years of constant warfare. The Battle of Centralis lasted 18 hours and marked the end of Imperial military power. Human ships surrounded and destroyed the alien fleet piece by piece, using superior technology and coordination to overwhelm their enemies. All Empire vessels destroyed or captured, Brooks reported to Hayes. The war is over. Colonel Carter found the Empire officers he was looking for in the ruins of a military barracks on Alpha 3. The aliens who had participated in the New Haven attack were dragged before him in chains, their proud uniforms torn and dirty. "You remember New Haven?" Carter said quietly. "You remember the human child you murdered?" The aliens said nothing, but Carter could see recognition in their eyes. They knew why they were about to die. Commander Parker stood in the command center of the captured Fortress World Beta 7, accepting the surrender of the last Empire military units in this sector. The alien officers who signed the surrender documents looked completely defeated. "The Imperial 7th Fleet formally surrenders all forces and equipment to human command," the senior alien stated. "We accept responsibility for our actions during this conflict." Parker thought about Jake Morrison's family and all the other human civilians who had suffered because of Empire brutality. Justice had finally come for the innocent. Dr. Foster watched as her quantum storm generator tore apart the last Empire stronghold, a massive space station orbiting Centralis. The ancient structure that had coordinated Imperial oppression for centuries disintegrated in seconds, its destruction marking the end of alien rule. "Target destroyed," Foster reported to Admiral Brooks. "All Empire military assets in this system are now eliminated." Foster felt satisfied that her weapons had served their purpose. The technology designed to protect human lives had instead ended a war and freed countless alien species from tyranny. General Stone received the final casualty reports from all fronts. Human losses had been minimal compared to Empire forces, thanks to superior equipment and tactics, but the real victory was not military. It was moral. "Sir, we're receiving messages from over 300 alien worlds," his aide reported. "They want to join the new galactic government we're establishing." Stone smiled. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through force. They had liberated it through justice, and now free species wanted to work together to build something better than the Empire. President Hayes addressed the galaxy from the captured Imperial throne room on Centralis. Behind him stood the flags of Earth and her colonies, symbols of the freedom that had replaced alien tyranny. "The Galactic Empire is no more," Hayes announced. "In its place, we establish the Galactic Federation, where all species are equal and all voices are heard. The age of oppression is over. The age of freedom begins today." Admiral Zektar was brought to trial in the same town square on New Haven where Jake Morrison had died. Thousands of humans and aliens attended the proceedings, all wanting to see justice served for the child's murder. The evidence was overwhelming. Video recordings, witness testimony, and official Empire records all confirmed Zektar's guilt. The alien who had thought himself above human law now faced judgment for his crimes. "Admiral Zektar, you are found guilty of war crimes and the murder of Jake Morrison," the judge announced. "You are sentenced to death." As the alien commander faced his execution, the crowd was silent. This was not celebration, but justice. The innocent had been avenged, and the guilty had paid the price for their actions. Colonel Carter stood at Jake Morrison's grave on New Haven, now rebuilt as a symbol of renewal and hope. The simple headstone bore the inscription, "His innocence lit the fire that freed the galaxy." "We kept our promise, Jake," Carter said quietly. "They paid for what they did to you." Around the memorial, children from dozens of alien species played together in peace, protected by the freedom that Jake's death had purchased. The boy's sacrifice had not been meaningless. Commander Parker received orders to establish the new Galactic Patrol, a peacekeeping force that would prevent any future return to the old ways of tyranny and oppression. Her fleet would guard the peace that human sacrifice had won. "Ma'am, we're receiving applications from alien species across the galaxy," her aide reported. They want to help protect the New Order. Parker nodded. The species that had suffered under Empire rule understood the value of freedom. They would help humanity guard it against any future threats. Dr. Walsh began documenting the complete history of Empire war crimes, ensuring that future generations would remember the cost of tyranny. His work would become required reading in schools across the galaxy. In his final report, Walsh wrote, "The Empire fell not because humanity was stronger, but because we refused to accept that might makes right. We fought for justice, and justice prevailed." President Hayes stood in the rebuilt colony center of New Haven, watching children play where Jake Morrison had died 2 years earlier. The boy's death had sparked a war that freed the galaxy, but Hayes knew the real victory was in the peace that followed. "Mr. President," his aide said quietly, "the memorial ceremony is ready to begin." Hayes nodded and walked toward the platform where leaders from across the galaxy had gathered to honor Jake Morrison's memory. The 8-year-old boy had become a symbol of innocence, protected, and evil punished. As Hayes began his speech, the afternoon sun shone down on New Haven like a blessing. The colony that had suffered the Empire's worst cruelty had become the birthplace of galactic freedom. "Jake Morrison died because he was human in the wrong place at the wrong time," Hayes told the assembled crowd. "But his death awakened something in humanity that the Empire never understood. It awakened our refusal to accept injustice. The war was over. The Empire was gone. And across 1,000 worlds, children played in safety because one brave little boy had paid the ultimate price for their freedom. Jake Morrison was dead, but his legacy would live forever in the free galaxy his sacrifice had created."